right, before we do today's new lesson, let's do some review of factoring so far. So we had plus signs in the back or we had minus signs in the back. If we had plus signs in the back, that meant that they were going to match and we would add to get 7. They would match and we were going to add to get -7. They don't match, we're going to subtract to get +3. They don't match, we're going to subtract to get -9. All right, so here we go. They're going to match, we're going to add, they're both going to be positive. And is it 10 times 1 or is it 2 times 5? 2 times 5. They match, they're both going to be minus signs. We add to get -7. Is it going to be 1 times 10 or 2 times 5? That adds to get -7. Okay, now let's look down here. They're not going to match and we're subtracting. They're not going to match and we're subtracting. 1 and 10, does that subtract to get 3? 2 and 5, does that subtract to get 3? Yes, it does. And I need it to be +3. So 5's got to go here and 2's got to go there. Okay, they're not going to match. We're going to be subtracting. 1 and 10, 2 and 5. Which one subtracts to get a 9? This option. I want it to be a -9. So the 10 has to go with the negative sign and the 1 goes with the plus. Okay, one more time just to make sure you got it. Add, same, they match, add, both pluses. They match, they're both minuses, and we're adding. Sorry, match, add, they're both minuses. They don't match, we're subtracting to get a +3. They don't match, we're subtracting to get a -9. All right, let's look at this question. This one is different than anything we've done so far because the first number, this is called the leading coefficient, is not a 1. We've always had a 1 right here, or no number, which is a 1, but now we have a 4. I'm not sure if you did this question yesterday on your practice worksheets, your showdown worksheets, but I gave you some advice or a hint. You want to try to notice, do you notice anything? Now, this is not my normal eyeball picture because that's on my other iPad, but you are supposed to notice something about all of these coefficients. They have a greatest common factor. What is that greatest common factor? What can I take out of each of the terms? I can take out a 4. So if I take out a 4, what's going to be left? X squared plus 7x plus 10. Now the leading coefficient is a 1. So my answer is x plus 2, x plus 5, because the signs match and we add. They're both pluses and we're adding to get a 7. And we just have this 4 out in front. If I were to solve, remember the solving equals 0, then 4 equals 0 is not true, so we just ignore it. X plus 2 equals 0, x plus 5 equals 0. We can do each of those. We can sing -2, cross out what's my answer, -5, cross out what's my answer. This one is not a solution. We get 2 different answers. So I'm going to give you some questions and I need you to notice something. Notice that you can take out a greatest common factor before factoring it into 2 parentheses. All right, what do you notice? Take out the greatest common factor and then factor it into 2 parentheses. Type in your answer. All right, so you should have taken out a 5. That leaves me with x squared minus 5x minus 6. The signs don't match, so there's 1 plus, 1 minus. I'm going to subtract to get a negative 5. 1 times 6 or 2 times 3, which one subtracts to get a 5? This guy right here. And I want negative 5, so that means 6 has to be in the parentheses that has the minus sign, and the 1's up front. Okay, take it one step further. Now solve. Did you write x equals negative 1? The x equals is really important. X equals positive 6. The 5 is not important when we solve. The 5 is important if we're factoring. If this was a test or a quiz, I need to see this answer if I say factor. I need to see these answers if it says solve. Don't leave out the x's. Don't just say negative 1 and 6, because it's not y equals, it's x equals. All right, here's your next question. Factor this polynomial and notice something. I hope you notice something. I hope you notice that you could take out a 3, get x squared plus 6x minus 16. The signs don't match, so I have 1 plus and I have 1 minus. I have to subtract to get a 6. 1 times 16, 2 times 8, 4 times 4. Which one subtracts to get a 6? Because I want it to be a positive 6, the 8 goes here, the 2 goes there. All right, now solve. When you solve, you get x equals negative 8. X equals positive 2. All right, here's your next question. Factor and solve. Only type in the solve answers. X equals blank, x equals blank. You should have typed in negative 12 and 5. The signs don't match, 1 plus, 1 minus. We're subtracting factors to get 7. 12 times 5 is a factor of 60 that subtracts to get 7. 12 has to go with the plus sign. When I solve, this is what I get. All right, here's your next question. Factor and solve. Type in just the solve answers. Your answers were negative 6 and 10. So I took out a 4. Here's what was left. The signs don't match, so I had 1 plus, 1 minus. The factors of 60, 6 and 10, are the factors that subtract to get a 4. The 10 has to go with the minus sign because I need a negative 4. Then this doesn't matter. X equals negative 6, x equals positive 10 when I sing the songs. All right, here is our next question. There is no greatest factor. There's nothing to notice, but it's always important to check. Is there a greatest common factor? 2, 13, 15? Nope, can't take anything out. So, what do we do when this first guy isn't a 1? All right, let's go back to our rules. So I'm going to look right here. Signs are going to match. We're going to add. We have to add to get 13. However, because this is not a 1, it's a little more complicated. In order to add to get a 13, it has to add outer plus inner. We've never worried about that before because we always had a 1. So I'm going to have to not quite FOIL, but I'm going to have to OI, I'm going to have to OI of the FOIL in order to add to get 13. Okay, so what did I just say? I said signs match, plus, plus. I've got to add to get 13. This time I have to worry about what are the factors of 2 and what are the factors of 15. Okay, now I started us off with the easiest one because when they both match, it's the easiest scenario you got. So factors of 2, there's just one choice. Now, is it going to matter if I put 1x here and 2x here? Nope, because they're both pluses. So, does not matter. This is our easiest case. I don't know why I wrote 1x. We really just need x. Okay, factors of 15. 1 times 15 and 3 times 5. Not too bad. When this becomes bigger and has lots of factors, and oh my gosh, if this is big and has lots of factors, this is a nightmare. It's a lot of guess and check. And I wish I could give you an easy way to do it, but it's a lot of guess and check. So, I'm going to write this again because I'm going to be doing some guessing and checking. Now, those of you that, or maybe just sometimes some questions, for those of you, some questions may just pop in your head, super easy, you see it. You can just see what needs to go where. But if you can't, we're going to waste a lot of paper. We're going to write it out, all the different options, until we find the winner chicken dinner. So, 1 and 15. If I could put a 1 here and a 15 here. Or I could put a 15 here and a 1 here. Oh, you know what I should do? I should write it again. X plus, 2x plus, x plus, 2x plus. Now, we're going to do the options for 3. I could put a 3 here and a 5 here, or a 5 here and a 3 here. I literally am going to have to I'm going to have to OI each of these. Now, the more you do this, the quicker it comes to you. You can start seeing it. But in the beginning, it is trial and error. It's just luck if you get it on the first try. So, here we go. O is, oh gosh, I don't want to do that. O is 15. I is 2. Remember that we're adding. So, O is 15. I is 2. Does that make the target I want? No. Okay, let's try this. O is 1x. I is 30x. That's not going to add to my target. Okay, let's try this one. O, that's not what I want. O is 5x. I is 6x. That's closer, but it still doesn't make 13, it makes 11. Okay, last one's probably going to be it. O is 3x. I is 10x. Bingo, winner, chicken dinner. We figured out the combo that 5 had to go with the 1 in the parentheses with the 1, and 3 had to go in the parentheses with the 2x. Now, there were only 2 options, remember, 1 and 2. They have to match, so plus, they have to match and both be positive, plus, plus. And when I do the OI test, I'm adding. Now, I'm not always adding, sometimes I'm subtracting, but in this case, they match and I'm adding. They match and I'm adding. O plus I had to be 13. All right, here's our next example. The leading coefficient's not a 1. Greatest common factor, nope, can't take anything out. So I'm ready to start my parentheses. What does this mean? It means they're going to match, and I'm subtracting. No, sorry, match and add. Match and add, match and add. And what does this mean? They're going to match but both be negatives. Okay, so I have a minus and a minus. Now I'm going to look up here. How do I make 3? 1 times 3. That's it. There's only one way to do it. How do I make 4? 1 times 4 or 2 times 2. So I'm going to go ahead and put these, since they're both minuses, it's not going to matter. So I'm going to put x in one of them and 3x in the other. Okay, I copied that 4 times. So I can either write 1, 4, 4, 1, 2, 2. Oh, I didn't need this one. Can you see it? We want to O plus I. Why are we plussing? Because same signs. We want them to match, and we're adding. So it's not O minus I, it's O plus I. And can you already see OI, OI, OI? Which one is going to get us to negative 13? Well, if you haven't figured it out, let's test them all. And the first one, negative 4x minus 3x. The next one, negative 1x minus 12x. The last one, negative 2x minus 6x. Which one adds to make negative 13? And that was this one right here, winner, winner, chicken dinner. All right, here's your next question. I'm not going to ask you to type stuff in because it's kind of too hard to type in all these options. So pause the video, try to figure out the answer to my question, hit play. If you just sit and watch me do it, it's not really helping you learn. Okay, so the beginning of the fractions, the beginning of the parentheses, can you get the parentheses started? Well, they're both going to match, and they're both going to be plus signs. Okay, so plus, plus. Can you figure out the next thing we should add to each parentheses? We should add x and 5x. Now, does it really matter if I put x here and 5x here? No, I could reverse them and put them in the other spots. Okay, so I'm going to have one parentheses with an x, one parentheses with a 5x. They both have plus signs. Think of all the options to make 14. One times 14, 2 times 7. I'm going to copy and paste this a couple of times so that we have our 4 options. So pause the video and make 4 parentheses. All right, now I'm going to write 1 and 14, 14 and 1, 2 and 7, 7 and 2. Pause the video and see if you can figure out which one makes 17x. If you said the third one, you were correct. The outer makes 7x. When I multiply the inner, I get 10x. 7x plus 10x is 17x, and that's what I wanted. All right, again, pause the video after each question. Try to come up with your answer before I say the answer. How are we going to start off the parentheses? They both match, and they're both going to be negative. X and 7x. 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. Oh no. We need to have 2, 4, 6 different parentheses. Can we be smart about this? Can we eliminate something right away? Do I want to put a 12 there? Because 12 times 7 is going to be way over 31. Okay? I don't think and if I put a 12 here, that's too small. I get a 12 and a 7 is only 19. So I don't even think we need to write those two. I think those are silly. Do I need to write the 6? That's 42. That's already too big. So I don't think I need to write the 6 one. So I could just write the 2 and the 6, and then the options with 3 and 4. X minus 3, 7x minus 4, x minus 4, 7x minus 3. Pause the video, figure out which one it is. It was the third one, negative 3x and negative 28x adds to make a negative 31x. All right, this one is going to be a type in your answer. So the video will pause. You try to go through all of the thought process I've been walking you through. Type in the 2 parentheses. All right, here's what you should have figured out. X minus 1 and 5x minus 11. So there would have been the option of putting the 11 here and putting the 1 right there. However, if you O is negative 1x, I is negative 55x, and that's not going to get me to my target of negative 16x. If you're not catching on, I would go back and re-watch any of the sections of this video. But let's try another one. All right, here's your next one. Unfortunately, 24 has a lot of factors, so this is going to take a lot of guess and check unless you happen to luck out and get it on the first try. Now, 11 only has one way to make 11, but 24 has 4 ways, which means there's going to be 8 sets of parentheses if you write out every option. But maybe you can be smart about it like we did that one time and not even write some of the options because you see that some of them are just ridiculous and they're not going to get you to 50. Okay, good luck. Type in your answer. All right, so these are the ones that are completely silly. I didn't even finish this because if I put a 24 here and multiply, that's way too big. 12 times 11 is way too big. 8 times 11 is way too big. 6 times 11 is way too big. So none of these big numbers are going to go in this parentheses. So now I'm really down to left with just 4 that I need to test out. All right, so if I OI, I get 24 plus 11, too small. OI, I get 12x and 22x, still too small. OI, I'm getting closer, I'm at 41x, but this last one is it. OI, 6 and 44 makes our target of 50. All right, spend the rest of the time working on your homework, and it's posted on this Google Classroom, and I will be back tomorrow, and it will be, we'll grade it tomorrow in class. All right, bye.